if he has ever seen one of these creatures. He paused for a minute, and with a straight face he said, "I haven't seen one, but my coworkers have. From my personal research, there is definitely a paranormal aspect that is connected to these creatures. Many describe having telepathic communication with them, and some even claim to have seen them simply vanish as if they're walking in between dimensions." Now, I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm asking you to have an open mind while you listen to these strange happenings in reality.
The psychic Sasquatch and its UFO connection. For decades, the legend of Bigfoot or Sasquatch has captured the imagination of people around the world. This elusive creature, said to roam the forests of North America, has sparked countless theories, TV shows, and alleged sightings. However, a peculiar subset of the Sasquatch phenomenon takes things a step further, delving into the realms of the paranormal and the extraterrestrial. These are the claims of a being known as the psychic Sasquatch and its supposed connections to UFOs. While some dismiss these stories as mere fantasy, others remain convinced of their veracity, leading to a wealth of purported eyewitness accounts. This video attempts to compile and examine some of the most intriguing tales surrounding this enigmatic entity. The origins of the psychic Sasquatch. The idea of a Sasquatch possessing psychic abilities can be traced back to the early 20th century, with reports from Native American tribes about encounters with hairy, man-like creatures that seem to exhibit extraordinary mental powers. One of the earliest documented accounts comes from the Lummi Nation in Washington state, where tribal elders spoke of a race of beings known as the Seatke, which roughly translates to supernatural danger. According to the tribe's oral histories, these entities could communicate telepathically and had the ability to disappear and reappear at will. Some even claim that these creatures can alter their frequency and can walk between dimensions. As the 20th century progressed, more and more individuals came forward with claims of encountering Sasquatch-like creatures that displayed psychic, telepathic abilities. One of the most famous cases is that of Albert Ostman, a Canadian prospector who in 1924 claimed to have been captured and held captive by a family of Sasquatches for several days. Ostman reported that the creatures communicated with him telepathically and seemed to possess an innate understanding of his thoughts and feelings. The UFO connection emerges. It wasn't until the 1970s that the idea of a connection between the psychic Sasquatch and UFOs began to gain traction. One of the earliest proponents of this theory was researcher John Greenan, who published a book entitled Psychic Sasquatch and Their UFO Connection in 1973. In his work, Greenan compiled numerous accounts from individuals who claimed to have witnessed Sasquatches exhibiting psychic or telepathic abilities, as well as reports of these creatures being seen in close proximity to UFOs or otherworldly craft. One of the most intriguing cases cited by Greenan involved a group of loggers in British Columbia, Canada, who allegedly encountered a Sasquatch in the summer of 1967. According to their account, the creature appeared to communicate with them telepathically, warning them to leave the area. Moments later, a glowing disc-shaped object descended from the sky, hovering nearby. The loggers reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread and quickly fled the scene. Another notable case detailed in Greenan's book is that of a family from Oregon who claimed to have had multiple encounters with a Sasquatch throughout the 1960s. The family reported that the creature would often appear and disappear suddenly, as if teleporting, and that it seemed to possess a deep understanding of their thoughts and emotions. On one occasion, they claimed to have witnessed the Sasquatch interact with a strange glowing orb that hovered in the air before vanishing into thin air. On the popular podcast Sasquatch Chronicles, one guest reported to have had close contact with a tribe of Sasquatch that telepathically described going with the Star People when they reach a certain age. Modern encounters and theories. In the decades since Greenan's groundbreaking work, numerous other researchers and individuals have come forward with their own accounts of encountering the psychic Sasquatch and its alleged connections to UFOs. One particularly compelling case is that of a man named Michael C., who claims to have had multiple encounters with a Sasquatch in the Ouachita Mountains of Arkansas throughout the 1990s. According to Michael's account, the creature not only possessed telepathic abilities, but also seemed to have a deep connection to the natural world around it. He described instances where the Sasquatch would appear to communicate with animals and plants, as if it shared a symbiotic relationship with its environment. Perhaps most intriguing, however, were Michael's claims that the Sasquatch would often appear and disappear in a flash of light, leading him to believe it had the ability to teleport or even travel through dimensions. Michael's encounters eventually led him to theorize that the psychic Sasquatch might be an interdimensional being, capable of moving between our physical reality and other planes of existence. This theory has gained traction among some researchers who suggest that the Sasquatch's alleged psychic abilities and connections to UFOs could be explained by its ability to traverse different dimensions or realities. Another intriguing theory posits that the psychic Sasquatch may be a hybrid species, the result of genetic experimentation or interbreeding between humans and extraterrestrial beings. Proponents of this theory point to the creature's supposed psychic abilities and its alleged connections to UFOs as evidence of its otherworldly origins. One of the most vocal advocates of this theory is researcher Mary Hines, who has spent decades investigating the Sasquatch phenomenon and its potential ties to extraterrestrial activity. In her book, The Sasquatch Enigma, an Interdimensional Doctrine, Hines presents a wealth of eyewitness accounts and evidence that she believes supports the idea of the psychic Sasquatch being a hybrid species. One particularly compelling case detailed in Hines' work involves a group of campers in the Shasta Trinity National Forest of California who claim to have witnessed a Sasquatch interacting with a glowing disc-shaped craft in the summer of 2003. According to their account, the creature appeared to communicate with the craft telepathically before boarding it, at which point the craft shot off into the sky at incredible speeds. Skepticism and controversy. Of course, as with any paranormal or extraordinary claim, the accounts surrounding the psychic Sasquatch and its UFO connections have been met with considerable skepticism and criticism from the scientific community and skeptics alike. Many dismiss these stories as mere folklore, urban legends, or the product of overactive imaginations. Critics argue that there is simply no credible scientific evidence to support the existence of a psychic, interdimensional, or extraterrestrial Sasquatch species. Identification, embellishment, or even outright fabrication. They argue that the human mind is susceptible to various cognitive biases and that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Alleged government suppression of the Sasquatch. For decades, the existence of the Sasquatch, a large, hairy, bipedal creature said to roam the forests of North America, has been a topic of intense debate and fascination. While some dismiss the creature's existence as myth or legend, others remain convinced that not only is the Sasquatch real, but that there has been a concerted effort by government agencies to suppress evidence and cover up its existence. These allegations of a government-orchestrated Sasquatch cover-up have been a central theme within the broader Bigfoot community, fueling countless theories, books, and documentaries. From claims of confiscated evidence and intimidation of witnesses to suggestions of a broader conspiracy involving other cryptid species and even extraterrestrial life, the purported suppression of the Sasquatch has taken on a life of its own. The Patterson-Gimlin film controversy. One of the most famous and widely debated pieces of Sasquatch evidence is the Patterson-Gimlin film, a short footage captured in 1967 by Roger Patterson and Robert Gimlin in Bluff Creek, California. The film depicts what appears to be a large, hairy, bipedal creature walking across a clearing before disappearing into the tree line. While the authenticity of the footage has been fiercely debated, some researchers allege that there has been a systematic effort by government agencies to suppress or discredit the Patterson-Gimlin film. These claims often center around the alleged confiscation of the original film canisters by government officials shortly after the footage was captured. According to proponents of the suppression theory, Patterson and Gimlin were visited by individuals claiming to be representatives of the U.S. Department of the Interior or other federal agencies shortly after their encounter. These alleged officials purportedly confiscated the original film canisters, claiming they needed to be analyzed for authenticity. However, some researchers claim that the original canisters were never returned, and that the copies that have been circulated and analyzed over the years may have been tampered with or altered in some way. They suggest that the government may have confiscated the original footage to prevent the public from accessing definitive proof of the Sasquatch's existence. The crew intimidation claims. Another common allegation related to government suppression involves claims of intimidation and harassment directed at individuals who have purportedly encountered or obtained evidence of the Sasquatch. These claims often involve accounts of menacing strangers, unmarked vehicles, and veiled threats from individuals claiming to represent various government agencies. One of the most well-known cases of alleged witness intimidation is that of the Bigfoot Hunters group, led by researchers Tom Biscardi and Richter Rickard. In 2008, the group claimed to have obtained the remains of a deceased Sasquatch and planned to unveil their findings at a press conference. However, according to Biscardi and Rickard, they were visited by individuals claiming to be agents of an unspecified government agency shortly before the scheduled press conference. These alleged agents purportedly threatened legal action and warned the group not to reveal their evidence, citing national security concerns. While the claims of the Bigfoot hunters were met with significant skepticism from the broader Sasquatch research community, the alleged intimidation tactics have been cited by some as evidence of a larger government cover-up effort. Similar accounts of intimidation and harassment have been reported by numerous other individuals who claim to have encountered or obtained evidence of the Sasquatch over the years. These stories often involve strangers in unmarked vehicles, or individuals flashing official-looking badges and warning witnesses to remain silent about their experiences. The Ketchum DNA study controversy. In 2012, a team of researchers led by Dr. Melba Ketchum published a study claiming to have obtained and analyzed DNA samples purportedly belonging to the Sasquatch. The study, which was published in the De Novo Scientific Journal, suggested that the Sasquatch was a human hybrid species resulting from interbreeding between modern humans and an unknown primate species. While the study garnered significant attention and controversy within the Sasquatch research community, some proponents of the suppression theory allege that there has been a concerted effort by government agencies and the scientific establishment to discredit and suppress Ketchum's findings. According to these claims, shortly after the publication of the study, Ketchum and her team reportedly faced a barrage of criticism, harassment, and even threats from various individuals and organizations. Some allege that these efforts were orchestrated by government agencies or institutions with a vested interest in preventing the existence of the Sasquatch from being proven. Ketchum herself has reportedly claimed that she and her team were subjected to intimidation tactics, including threats of legal action and the confiscation of their research materials and samples. She has also suggested that there may have been efforts to discredit or undermine her work through the manipulation of peer review processes and the dissemination of misinformation. While the validity of Ketchum's DNA study remains hotly debated within the scientific community, her allegations of suppression and intimidation have resonated with those who believe that there is a concerted effort to cover up evidence of the Sasquatch's existence. The Ape Canyon Incident. One of the most infamous and widely cited cases of alleged government suppression and cover-up related to the Sasquatch phenomenon is the so-called Ape Canyon Incident, which supposedly took place in the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest in Washington state in the 1920s. According to the accounts, a group of miners and prospectors working in the area claimed to have been repeatedly attacked and harassed by a group of large, hairy, bipedal creatures over the course of several weeks. The incidents allegedly culminated in a violent confrontation, during which one of the creatures was reportedly killed. While the details of the Ape Canyon incident have been subject to debate and skepticism, some researchers claim that there was a concerted effort by government agencies, particularly the U.S. Forest Service, to cover up the events and suppress any evidence of the creature's existence. Proponents of the suppression theory allege that government officials descended on the area shortly after the reported incidents, confiscating any physical evidence and intimidating witnesses into silence. Some even suggest that the alleged creature's remains were taken into custody and have been kept hidden from the public ever since. While the Ape Canyon incident remains shrouded in mystery and controversy, it has become a cornerstone of the Sasquatch suppression narrative, with some researchers claiming that it represents a clear example of the government's efforts to conceal the existence of the creature from the public. Alleged connections to other conspiracies. In addition to the specific cases and claims outlined above, some proponents of the Sasquatch suppression theory have suggested that the alleged cover-up may be linked to broader, more far-reaching conspiracies and government secrets. One such theory suggests that the Sasquatch may be connected to other cryptid species and that the suppression of evidence is part of a larger effort to conceal the existence of these creatures from the public. Others have proposed that the alleged Sasquatch cover-up may be tied to theories surrounding extraterrestrial life and the purported existence of UFOs. Some researchers have speculated that the Sasquatch may be an extraterrestrial species or a hybrid resulting from genetic experimentation, and that the government's efforts to suppress evidence are motivated by a desire to keep this information from the public. These broader conspiracy theories, while often speculative and lacking in concrete evidence, have nonetheless gained traction among certain segments of the Sasquatch research community and have contributed to the narrative of a widespread government cover-up. It's important to note that even within the Sasquatch research community, there is a significant divide between those who embrace the more paranormal or extraterrestrial aspects of the phenomenon and those who prefer to focus solely on the physical evidence and eyewitness accounts related to a flesh-and-blood creature. Regardless of one's personal beliefs or skepticism, the accounts surrounding the psychic Sasquatch and its alleged connections to UFOs and extraterrestrial activity remain a captivating and divisive aspect of the broader Sasquatch phenomenon. Whether these stories are rooted in truth, folklore, or pure imagination, they continue to capture the interest of researchers, enthusiasts, and the general public alike. Many first-hand eyewitness accounts reveal a deeper look into the subject: telepathic communication with Sasquatch. As mentioned earlier, one of the most remarkable aspects of Sasquatch encounters is the reported ability of these creatures to communicate telepathically. Several individuals have come forward with stories of experiencing a profound, almost mystical connection with the Sasquatch they have encountered. The encounter in the Appalachian Mountains. In the rugged Appalachian Mountains of West Virginia, a hiker named Sarah recounts a life-changing experience. While trekking through the dense forest, she suddenly felt a powerful presence nearby. It was as if the very air around me had shifted, and I could sense something watching me, she recalls. Instinctively, Sarah reached out with her mind, and to her astonishment, she received a clear response. I heard a voice, but it wasn't spoken aloud. It was like a thought that wasn't my own, and it said, "Do not be afraid. We mean you no harm." Overcome with a sense of calm, Sarah continued her hike, occasionally exchanging silent messages with the unseen Sasquatch. It was as if we were communicating on a level beyond words, a deep understanding that transcended language. The spiritual connection in the Pacific Northwest. In the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, a similar encounter unfolded for a hiker named Michael. While trekking through the wilderness, he suddenly felt a profound connection with the surrounding environment. It was as if the very trees and the earth were alive, pulsing with an energy I had never experienced before, he recounts. Suddenly, Michael became aware of a towering, shadowy figure in the distance. I knew, without a doubt, that it was a Sasquatch, and as I stood there, transfixed, I felt a surge of emotion, not fear, but a deep sense of kinship. Through a series of mental images and impressions, Michael engaged in a silent dialogue with the Sasquatch, sharing a profound spiritual connection. It was as if we were communicating on a level that transcended the physical world, a meeting of the minds and the soul. The healing encounter in the Cascades. In the rugged Cascade Mountains of Oregon, a woman named Emily had a transformative encounter with a Sasquatch. While hiking alone, she stumbled upon a massive, hairy creature standing in a clearing. At first, I was terrified, but then I felt a wave of calm wash over me, she recounts. As Emily and the Sasquatch locked eyes, she experienced a profound sense of understanding. It was as if the creature was looking into my very soul, and I could feel its emotions, a deep sadness, but also a profound sense of wisdom and healing. Through a series of mental images and impressions, the Sasquatch communicated a message of hope and healing. I left that encounter feeling transformed, as if a weight had been lifted from my shoulders. It was a truly profound and life-changing experience. Sasquatch encounters with UFOs. In addition to reports of telepathic communication, there are numerous accounts of Sasquatch sightings in conjunction with unidentified flying objects, UFOs. These encounters suggest a deeper, perhaps extraterrestrial connection between the Sasquatch and the enigmatic phenomena of the skies. The abduction incident in the Ozarks. In the rugged Ozark Mountains of Arkansas, a family camping trip took an unexpected turn. As they sat around the campfire, the night sky suddenly lit up with a brilliant, pulsing light. At first, we thought it was a helicopter, but then it started to hover and move in ways that no aircraft could, recounts the father, John. Moments later, the family watched in stunned silence as a massive, hairy creature emerged from the nearby trees and approached the glowing object. It was a Sasquatch, there's no doubt about it, and as it got closer, it seemed to be communicating with the UFO, almost as if it was being drawn towards it. The family's horror turned to disbelief as they witnessed the Sasquatch being lifted into the air and disappearing into the UFO. We were frozen, unable to move or speak. It was the most terrifying and awe-inspiring thing I've ever seen. The encounter in the Cascade foothills. In the foothills of the Cascade Mountains in Washington, a group of hikers stumbled upon a remarkable sight. As they made their way through the dense forest, they suddenly caught a glimpse of a massive, hairy creature in the distance. At first, we thought it was a bear, but as it moved, we realized it was much taller and more upright, recounts one of the hikers, Sarah. Moments later, the group was stunned to see a bright, disc-shaped object hovering above the Sasquatch. It was like nothing we'd ever seen before. Silent, glowing, and seemingly defying the laws of physics. The Sasquatch appeared to be interacting with the UFO, and the hikers watched in awe as the creature was lifted into the air and disappeared into the craft. We were left standing there, speechless and shaken. It was an experience we'll never forget. The encounter in the Sierra Nevada mountains. In the rugged Sierra Nevada mountains of California, a group of campers had a chilling encounter with a Sasquatch and a UFO. As they sat around the campfire, they suddenly heard a loud, piercing sound that seemed to come from the sky. It was like nothing we'd ever heard before, a deep, rumbling hum that seemed to vibrate the very air around us, recounts one of the campers, Emily. Moments later, the group witnessed a massive, hairy creature emerge from the trees, seemingly drawn towards the source of the sound. It was a Sasquatch, no doubt about it, and as it approached, we saw a bright, disc-shaped object hovering above it. The campers watched in stunned silence as the Sasquatch and the UFO appeared to interact, with the creature seemingly communicating with the craft. It was as if they were connected, like they were part of the same phenomenon. We were terrified, but also completely mesmerized by what we were seeing. As the search for definitive proof of the Sasquatch's existence continues, the tales of psychic abilities, interdimensional travel, and interactions with otherworldly craft add an extra layer of intrigue and mystery to an already enigmatic subject. It really makes you think. If there's been over 30,000 sightings of these creatures, if there's even one truthful eyewitness account, that means they actually do exist.